What's up guys, Roddy back again, and today we're talking about big phones. So let's go. Alright, in true traditional fashion, you have to hit that subscribe button if you hadn't already. We made it to 1,000, on our way to 5,000, and if you've already hit that button, hit the like button. Put in the comments below, what do you think 2023 big phone of the year was for you? Let me know in the comments why you think what was, or what you think I'm gonna pick, or what you're hoping wins. I don't know. Put them comments down there, hit that like button if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, and we're gonna talk about my pick for best big phone. And we have no shortage of big phones this year. It seems like now the standard for just about any phone out there is somewhere around 6.4, 6.5 inches, and the norm has become 6.7 inches. So it's wild that we have slab phones that are that size and they're commonplace everywhere we go. I mean, that's almost a 7-inch phone. A lot of cars don't have 7-inch screens. And then you have phones like this, the Pixel Fold, that opens up and is almost 8 inches on the inside. So we're gonna talk about what I feel like has been the best big phone. And you would think the best big phone would be the one that has the biggest screen, right? Real simple, it's a foldable, you open it up and there's a big screen. Well, luckily, we have a foldable category, so I'm taking foldables out of the mix. We also have flipping phones now that flip open to 6.6 inch screens, 6.7 inch screens, and I would love to throw something like the Razr Plus that's fairly affordable now, or the Flip 5 in there, which I love flipping phones, and last year I even gave my phone of the year to the Flip 4. This year I didn't feel that either one of those phones were just super special. I had a few software issues. You can't really fully use the front display full on. It's still kind of cumbersome. They haven't got all the kinks worked out of it. I just had some software issues and glitches. I had not as good a battery as I had last year with flipping phones. So for me, it was kind of a lackluster experience. While I love the front display and I love the forward thinking there from both of those companies, and that they're kind of affordable in today's market, I'm pushing them out because I just didn't feel that they were that special. So that leaves us with what phones that are left. Well, we have awesome phones from Samsung. They had the S23 Ultra, which everyone knows is one of the biggest flap phones you can get, but they also had the S23 Plus. So I'm going to consider both of those. I'm also going to consider the iPhone 15 Pro Max because, well, I picked one of those up this year. I'm going to throw in kind of monkey wrench and say the Nothing Phone 2. This is a 6.7 inch phone, fairly affordable, been pretty solid. I also had the brand new Pixel 8 Pro. You had OnePlus 11. I didn't get a chance to get the 12 because it's not technically out yet or whatever. But anyway, we've got a lot of big phones. Let's talk about them. So first up, I'm going to start with the S23 Ultra. One of the biggest slab phones that you can get. This is a monster when it comes to the world of mobile phones. I mean, this phone is a 6.8 inch screen, and when you hold this next to something like a folding phone, and those phones are right at, roughly around 7 inches, this is almost 7 inches, you almost don't need a folding phone because the screen on this thing is so big, the phone is so large. Now, it does get cumbersome, but we're talking about big phones here. But other ways that it's not super duper comfortable, these sharp little edges right here, if you're holding it like this, where it's normally in your hand, like this, and you're kind of holding it like you normally would hold a phone, that can kind of dig in and be uncomfortable at times. Now, I've learned after using it for a while, I kind of rest it in my hand more like this, like it's resting, and so I'm not digging those corners in. It's kind of like laying more flat, which is kind of what they want. They want that note style so that, you're using the S Pen, it's laying in your hand, you're writing with it. Those corners aren't really digging into your palm. But most people hold their phones like this. We take pictures like this. I love the look of it, so I'm not knocking it at all, but I know that there's been plenty of people that have talked about these corners being uncomfortable. But as a big phone, as a phone that kind of does everything, Swiss Army knife here, it's a high contender on the list. But Apple is Apple, and they gave us the brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, when this phone first came out, it did have some issues with thermals, overheating, killing the battery, that sort of thing. Apple rushed and pushed an update out that fixed this phone. I've had zero issues since then, so I'm not going to fault it for some kind of software glitch or bug or whatever. They fixed it. It's been a great device. It's been solid, and it's a very large phone as well. You're talking 6.7 inches here. You're talking, this thing's made of titanium. It's some of the best, strongest glass that you can get out there, and it just feels even more refined. I really appreciate that Apple gave us a softer texture here. I appreciate that it's not just flat on the back, and that the side edges here are super sharp. They're a little more rounded now with the titanium, and overall it does. It feels a lot better in the hand. It's a lot lighter, and they've had some camera improvements. These are still some of the best cameras you can get, some of the best battery life you can get, of course, because it's iOS now. That's a good iOS, which I've complained about bad iOS in the past. This is one of the best versions, and by far the best iPhone to date, period. So definitely high on my list. But I want to stop and talk a little bit about the Pixel 8 Pro, which also was a huge upgrade this year. Now, I know a lot of people give a lot of hate on Tensor, but this new Tensor G3 was so solid, and I thought that it was just a really, really great device. Now, it wasn't perfect. I still could see some of the cracks when I really pushed in real heavy on some power using stuff and just really demanded it, like I've demanded these phones, and I've had the iPhone get a little warm on me. I've had the Samsung has never let me down, and Tensor, it worked, but it was just not quite as fast as maybe these two. But it wasn't so bad that I just hated on the phone like a lot of people do. Plus, I feel like that Tensor is one of the best, or the Pixel is one of the best designed phones out there. I love the build, I love the materials, I love the look, I love everything about it, the shape, the design. To me, it's a beautiful phone. It's the prettiest phone you can buy. It's the most aesthetically pleasing phone. The camera bar is so much nicer than cameras being shoved into a corner. Sorry, it just is. Great screen, the best camera system you can get by far, and I just really, really love that device. So of course, it's way, way up there. But all these phones are expensive. This iPhone, for instance, was $1,200. This S23 Ultra, it's also around $1,200-1,300. That S23 Plus that I talked about, that phone is still right there at $1,000. A base model 128 gig Pixel 8 Pro, $1,000, $1,100. Versus we've got this guy, 6.7 inch Nothing Phone 2. Now this is a very good phone. A lot of people call it a mid-range phone because we don't have a 3-camera array here. We've only got 2 cameras. You got an ultra wide and just a standard 50 megapixel shooter. But you do have some other things that I really want to highlight here. One, you have this very unique design. Now I really like this phone because it does look and feel similar to the iPhone, and you heard me kind of praise it a little bit. But where it's different is it's not quite as wide, which makes it a little easier to hold. We do have a soft touch aluminum on the outside that feels very, very nice, but then they ever so slightly curved this back glass that is see-through. You can see the inside. You have the glyph interface. So it lights up, does all this fancy stuff. But it's just very, very, it's not quite as wide. It's lighter because it's aluminum. It's just really, really good to hold. It's so light, easy to pocket, easy to hold, soft touch, just very, very comfortable phone. I can almost reach all the way across and one hand pretty easily when you're taking pictures and stuff because it's light and you're supporting it with your pinky, or you just worry about phone fatigue. The lightness really helps you there. You've got a 32 megapixel selfie camera on here, which is the highest out of all these. None of the flagships have that. You do have an older 8 Plus Gen 1 chip from Qualcomm Snapdragon in this, but it is a very good and efficient. I love that chip last year. It's super solid. I've had zero issues out of this phone, and this phone has handled nearly anything and everything that I've thrown at it. No matter if it's a power use situation, tons of apps are open, stuff's running in the background, and some of the best battery life out of all of these phones. And this device comes in $300 under the competition. So I have to give it a really good strong shake here amongst all these phones. But really and truthfully, it boils down to one phone just kind of does it all. It really does. It's really close. It gives you everything from great battery life, great cameras, just loads of features, a great ecosystem, great for aftermarket products like cases and screen protectors and that sort of thing. It's lighter, it's got a great battery, it's got a great feel in the hand, you can trust it. You just have to give it to the phone that is hitting at the top, giving you all the premium stuff at a little bit higher price, but right there in line with all of the competition minus the nothing phone. And this year, my big phone of the year is going to go to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Guys, I have not liked an iPhone for a very long time. I've only carried it out of necessity, whether it was needing really good video cameras, and I felt like I was able to get away from that. Now this year, I think there's great video cameras on Android. And then iMessage, because I do have so many people with an iPhone that only want an iMessage. But outside of that, I could get rid of all of that if this phone wasn't so good. By far, the smoothest version of iOS that I have ever used. Seriously, it is. It has had the least amount of issues that I've ever had a device. It feels way better and looks way better to me without that shiny stainless steel on there. I know people like that, but I just couldn't stand it. On top of that, I've loved how they've made this even feel more matte and feel more silky and nice. The weight savings, the cameras got really strong this year. They weren't a huge upgrade over the last few years, but they're just so good above really good cameras already. It's just really, really hard to knock this phone this year. While it's not perfect, I would love for it to be a little thinner like the Nothing phone. I'd love for it to be a little lighter. I'd love for just a little bit more battery life. I don't think we'll ever get past the 13 Pro Max that had great battery life. But overall, everything and anything that this phone has is just not as only is it good, it's pushing that great, superior, no questions asked, no problems, just almost a flawless device, and puts it well in the category for best phone, and we'll get to that later in the series. But yeah, definitely my pick for best big phone of the year, iPhone 15 Pro Max. That's going to do it for me this episode, guys. Make sure you stick around for the best foldable, the best battery, and the best camera, and of course, our best phone of the year. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next time.